it's because YouTube is literally being retarded, and I'm getting, again, it's frustrating me to the point where I debated not even doing this stream. It's just so irritating. God, they're stupid. They're trying to fix everything and breaking everything all because they're throwing hissy fits about ad block and just screwing everything up technically now. It's very on point for YouTube. And it's to the point I can't wait for YouTube to crash and have to have everybody go somewhere else because they suck, and everything they do that they're sucky at is because they suck and just want money. It's so upsetting. Do I want, how do I want to do this? It's good enough. So, Ninja, I want to show you a few things, but this is a bin of isopods, and it's not much anymore because I cleaned it out and it's since regulated. But if in this corner you can see kind of a little bit of mold, maybe not. Yeah, it is mold. Sorry, and mold is not necessarily bad like over here, but it can, if the isopods are younger and it gets attached to them, it can harm them, and if it gets too thick, they can get trapped in it. And it's just not a good sign of bioactivity in an enclosure like this. Now, those isopods I got and did not expect to, so I did not have a bin set up. The rule I try to adhere to is to have a bin set up for when I bring home a pet, be it isopod or snake or skink, or at least have everything I need for when I get home. It's a little bit different with isopods because of the bioactivity that I was mentioning. You want everything to be sorted. But my point is, this bin is already done up, and so in theory, what I would like to do is have these ready, and then when I bring home isopods, put them in. That way, if there is that mold bloom, the springtails, wow, there's quite a few. And springtails, they eat mold. So my point is keeping them active in bins. You can see a bunch of them down there, I hope. Those little guys moving all around down there eat the mold and then eat bunches of other stuff that breaks down. And if I'm not mistaken, they also eat isopod frass, which is their isopod poop. So it keeps a lot of the stuff in here going bioactively. So what I like to do is set these bins up like this ahead of time, get their bioactivity going up for a little bit, and then putting isopods in here. The other nice thing is this is what I would call a medium-sized container. So these are the more small ones I keep smaller colonies in. And my point is I want to keep this size ready for if I go somewhere and get 6, because isopod counts come in different sizes and stuff. So I want to have one ready for any amount that I get at any time, and then a few others. The difficult part there is, generally speaking, isopods have a pretty, I don't want to say narrow, but pretty set parameters in terms of how they live, in terms of temperature, humidity, husbandry, all of that. So, but there are little ways some of them differ, and there's a constant conversation in the hobby about making sure your animals thrive as opposed to survive. And isopods are interesting in that regard because they're very resilient. So you often may see them surviving as them thriving when they could be doing better. So my point is, even within those small parameters that isopods have, there's certain species and certain requirements for certain species. And then you want to, the thing is, some isopods are more expensive. So for some, you want to make sure your care is more on point if it's a financial investment like that. So that's kind of why I'm doing all this. So this one is all but empty. I had sand in there. I generally keep the sticker here at first, opposite of the what will be the drier side. This side will hopefully keep more moisture because it has less ventilation. This side will. And you can see the top has ventilation. I can always, some of these do have smaller drill holes in them already, but I can always add more or just take the lid off and add more as I see fit. So I'm actually going to take that sand out because I want that on the top. So I need a thingamabob to put it in. A little thingamabob. No, I'm not going to do that this time. Not yet. I'll get my substrate. Did you fall asleep on me yet, Ninja? I need more leaf litter. Surprise. What do I want to use? Yeah, that'll work. And that's probably too much for what I want right now. I may do a video soon of making bins. I haven't done a good bin making video in a while. Gotta get my moss on. Which keep you. Yeah, let's do where I am. And do a little bit of both. Bear with me one moment and I will answer that. What do I want to use? Oh, that'll work. That's small enough. Then I'm going to be putting some water in here, so I'll be back and then I'll answer that. Stand by, grab hold. I say It's been I should at some point do a video about this. I just most people don't care. But because it's just been an interesting journey, like I say, it's not like I don't know, maybe it's a bigger journey than it was in my head, but give me one. So that is okay, we're going that way. Yep. I just want to talk in a moment before I go on that because there's actually a method to what I'm doing, which was the wrong side. I want to do that side. So, can I bear with me another moment? Can I? No, I can't. Well, maybe lower it a little. Bear with me again. Green onions. All right. Just try to let you look over a little more. So, ventilation here, ventilation a little bit here. So I'm keeping it kind of this side is going to be what will be the more dry side, and this side will be the more moist side with obviously, well, I guess it's not obvious because again, you don't know much about isopods, but most, if not all, isopods benefit from what we call a moisture and humidity gradient, meaning more moist, less, medium, more dry, driest. And what that does is, in essence, gives isopods a way to play with their preferences. And it's not so much a preference as like, ooh, I like cold, I like warm, I like heat, moist, blah, blah. But there are certain things that determine biological functions. Like when they molt, they usually require a little bit more moisture. Certain react to, so let's say you have an isopod that is in a just slightly more predominantly dry area. They may recognize moisture or an abundance of moisture or leaf fall as ways to breed and things like that. So try to keep it as bioactive as you can. But how I got into this is wrong bag. There you are. She's not out right now. No. So the way I got into bugs is stripe. You know the story about Stripe a little bit, my African fat tail gecko. I don't know if you know, I ended up rescuing her. I don't want to say rescue, but someone couldn't take care of her. And so they gave them to me. They gave her to me. Now, when they gave her to me, she wasn't in good shape. It wasn't the guy. I always want to say as a disclaimer, because it's not the guy's fault. His situation was he was dating a girl. He didn't like reptiles. She wanted one. She talked him into it. Even though he didn't want it, she said she would take care of it. She left him and left him with the gecko. And so he's kind of like, what do I do with this thing? I don't want to kill it. He didn't know how to take care of it. And it wasn't in good shape. So I took it. When I got it, didn't have the proper stuff. So trying to see if I can move ahead with this before I get distracted. It's hard for me to talk and focus on this because I get actually, like I say, I focus a little more. But that got me this far, or that far, I should say. I'll talk about that in another moment. But it goes to like I was talking to a minute ago about thriving versus surviving. There are different ways you can raise different animals, and I don't mean to bash any of them, but some are, what more preferable and optimal for others. I wanted to go with bioactive, which is basically, I don't want to say self-sustaining, but a setup where you have to do less, but you invest a lot more. So you have the bugs that clean up. You have to be mindful of certain bugs that can attack certain pets or again react to them if they're shedding and all of these things. But the point is creating more of a bioactive environment naturally in a place as opposed to putting them in a cage with a mat and a plastic rock and a plastic water dish and plastic plants and picking up all of their poop and changing the mats and all of that, which again, it's awesome. There's some wonderful setups and certain situations where it's actually more optimal and better to do that. But again, it's, to each their own, and I don't judge. But I went the bioactive path, and that got me into isopods. And kind of like you asked, um, did I learn as I go? So once I got into it, I took time, and that's kind of what got me into meeting people like Wally. Because again, his brand is Supreme Gecko, but he's very much into isopods, and kind of says Supreme Gecko and isopods. He has a Supreme Isopod Chow. He does a lot with it. Russ is another guy. If you happen to hang around the nerd hobby long enough, you'll know who Russ is, and there's a few others. And so I just kind of took my time getting into that, and like you, I learn as I go. I take my time. I'm very conservative in the things I do in ways that probably annoy a lot of people because I don't do things fast enough or as fast as they can or want to, but it is what it is. So um yeah, that's kind of how I got here. Layer of sand. I'm going to throw some leaves in. Which ones? Yeah, let's do one. We'll do it there this time. Now, what happened to this gecko? It was less of it being sick. So, I don't. Not all not all geckos, or not all lizards, or anything. But not all can drop their tails. But leopards and African fat tails can. And she had just dropped her tail. Now, when they do that, it's a very, I don't want to say dangerous time, but you just kind of have to be mindful of, the obvious thing is the sanitary conditions, making sure they don't have a bunch of stuff on their tail. And they lose, it's a body shock for them. Then it takes a lot of resources to first survive it, the blood loss, all that, which isn't super much. It's part of their process, but it is quite a bit. And let me grab a couple more leaves. And that, just monitoring that, making sure she was fed, making sure she's gaining weight, or at the very least not dropping weight during that. Put a little more substrate. Hmm. What else now? In fact, I'm gonna walk away and get some wood. I'll be right in the back. In fact, I gotta get some moss too. Let me know if you have any more questions. I'm perusing that as I go. The way I do it is probably a lot more tedious than most, but I kind of like you say, I enjoy it. I don't, it's not, I don't like having a bin. I thoroughly enjoy putting it together, and I'd kind of enjoy paying a little more attention to it because if I do this and notice this works higher, lower, moss, no moss, more leaves, less leaves, more sand, I try to do everything a little bit different while sticking to what I know is the husbandry. But like I say, right now it's kind of difficult because I have no idea what's going in here. So, and in fact, yeah, I'm gonna leave a little more openness there because that's where I want. I leave spots open because when you order isopods, they'll often come with moss with them, so to speak. So in the past, I've had the habit of making a full bin and then not leaving room for that, which means I would either have to make it the room and readjust it all, or individually pull out every isopod and make sure I don't miss any in any of the moss and substrate and all that. So yeah, lessons learned. That's one video I'm going to do very soon is things I've learned in this past year of being in the hobby. So that can go, I'll just throw that there. Oh yeah, that goes, no, I don't want that to go that. This is actually cuttlebone that they sell it for birds, basically. I wanted to say parrots, but it's not exclusively them. But it's also a very soft calcium source. You can kind of see it. Most pieces, it can either with your nail, you can rub it off into powder or just use your hands and do it. And it's good to, there's eggshells already in the substrate. There's the calcium sand that you saw that I put a little bit in, but I already have calcium sand mixed into the substrate. But a lot of what you want to give to isopods is variety because you may have a mankai, which is the baby, who would probably more appreciate the soft, more readily I don't want to necessarily say ingestible, but less effort into getting that calcium as opposed to, chewing it off a piece of limestone or a harder piece of sand. So again, it just offers different variety. Debating. Yeah. So I'm going to put a little more leaves. That's not what I was debating. I was debating a little more wood, and that's what I'm going to do. Pull a couple pieces out while I'm here. All right. I'm pretty sure at some point I'm going to send you some isopods. I'm going to send you a, what would it be? They have like starter, what are they called? Starter kits, where it comes with basically, in fact, it would be a lot of what you see here. I think it'd be neat. But let me focus. Not any of that. The rocks can go in after. That spot's open for that moss. So that's kind of on the. Yeah, that's fine because I can always do more later. One of the things I'm debating is if it's kind of light and it's kind of thin, but you can always add more as you go, which is actually good. But some species, again, talking about husbandry and the such, some species of isopods are a lot more surface orientated than others. So some don't mind having a little bit less substrate. I'm actually going to throw, yeah, let me pull this out. I'm going to do one just kind of quick layover of more substrate. I don't want to, thought I had one more piece. There it is. I don't want to get it there for now. So yeah. But my canyon giants, for example, love to dig. Whereas my zebras, for example, tend not to. The Armadillidium vulgare tend to frequent a lot more surface leaves and the moisture areas there, and only go back down when they have to, when it starts to dry and they follow the moisture, so to speak. Now, for the question you asked, like the recipe, are you talking, let me make sure in my own words, more of a blueprint for bins, or are you talking about specific the substrate that you see? That. That is more of what I'm looking for. Because, well, I'm going to answer one of the questions that I kind of posed to you in response to your question. Oh. So, I do have a general blueprint. Now, there are a few species that if I got, I would not be able to do this. I would have to be more, like I mentioned before, they have more specific husbandry needs. This is more of generalist basic. Now, the nice thing is, let's say I put this down and I get a species that needs drier. I can do more leaves, more sand, more rocks, and just put less substrate. So again, this is more of a foundation. Now, one thing I do, it's hard to see. Let me hold on. Because this is what I notice in the wild. You'll see it's at least slightly sloped from the right, which is the moist side, to the dry side, which is in the left. Again, it will create a moisture gradient, but the moisture will go down. Now, the reason I'm doing that constantly is twofold. The simple thing is it's easier to water, because if you water, it naturally runs down. But that's what I notice. Isopods, they tend to frequent those areas a lot more frequently. So what I'm getting at is I see them in sloped areas, when the areas are sloped, and they'll be up here, and as it's the moisture recedes, they kind of follow it and will go down and again into the valleys, but they don't tend to frequent the valleys, the low parts, I should say, because they have a lot more moisture at those times. And again, isopods generally don't like a massive abundance of constant humidity and moisture air. They tend to, again, prefer and flourish more when they have airflow as opposed to stagnant air. There's all of these things. Again, I told you I probably overthink this. I could take the dirt, throw it in there, level it out, and it would probably good. Make the moss there first, put the sticks on it like most people do. You'll see most people kind of do what I, put the moss, throw the substrate, and I'll show you. Then let me see. Is this? I don't know if this is going to be too large. So they would do what you see, and then no, it's too large. Hold on. Ugh. I have too much wood to go through. Let me see. All right, so they'll just get a piece that would probably be a little bit larger than this, put it over there, throw some leaf litter on top of it, and leave it be. And that's fine. Again, nothing wrong with that. I just put more, I don't want to say more thought, just different thought into it. Like I say, I look at it from the position that I want to, when I go outside, I want to see where I always find them. And again, what I'm always finding is the highest point of moisture and then them receding down with it. It's all about the 4 inches of fun, booby. So I'm going to put a little more. Yeah, I got sand there, so I'll do a little more cuttle bone. Big chunk there. Some sand. And I don't have to put too much of that because I already have a lot of it mixed into my bin of substrate. And I don't know, let me take this off really quick just to show you one thing. So this is my kind of bin of substrate. So this is what I have set and ready to go. There's actually a small amount of springtails in there that help keep the mold and stuff down, help keep, again, the bioactivity. They get it going now. So that is what I have at the ready and pull from that to put in here. So now, and actually I'm going to use that piece of wood I brought. But I want you there, you there. Yeah, that will go there. Make it rain. And again, so in fact, you can kind of see it that way. But so I will water here. I'll usually let water run down here. So a little bit gets into the drier side. But again, with the vents, it'll usually help regulate that, keep the airflow going. Throw some more leaf litter on top of there. And this bad boy is done. I'm going to do probably the small one that I had earlier. And then I may hop off for a bit. What was I looking for? Just the lid. Yeah. All right, that one's good. So if I got a count of, let's say, 12 to 20, I would put them in here. If I had a count of about 6 to 12, probably going to throw them in there. Fresh, yeah, it's fresher, but that's what the point of is, in a nutshell, the ventilation. It's to keep airflow going in there even when it's sealed. But yeah, that is I use what I think is a little bit less ventilation than most people in the hobby. But the reason is most people in the hobby tend to their isopods like once a week. Some people once every 2 weeks, meaning they'll open the bins, water it, feed them, look at them, change things out, all that. I do it twice a week. So I'm getting a little bit more naturally than others, but that's one thing I'm kind of constantly considering, because I don't know if I should always bank on that. So I'm slowly moving to more ventilation than I started with. And I'm probably going to be tinkering around with that whole concept. So get a little bit of substrate in here really quick. In fact, I'm going to leave you and I'm going to pour. Maybe a little too much, but no harm, no foul. Sweep it all over there for now. Just enough to, I say, cover the bottom before I go for the moss. And similarly, you see maybe there's the vent here in here, and I'm going to have little ones on the side. But again, this will be the dry side, this will be the moist side. Oh yeah, let's put that in there. Alrighty, so moss. Over here now. YouTube's telling me there's 2 people watching, but YouTube has lied to me before. But if there's a second anonymous viewer, I hope everything's going well with you, taking care of yourselves and the ones you love, and that you're going to have a happy Thanksgiving tomorrow. I may need a little more. No? I think that will be good. Do a little layer. So YouTube is lying to me. Alrighty. This one may be about set. I'm going to throw some leaf litter in there, a little more substrate, and then some wood on the top. I'll leave a little more substrate after a couple of leaves. I'm assuming one of them is you, but I do see a second like for the moment. So thank you, whoever that was. But I also want you to know if you see it there, Ninja, watch, it'll go away in a minute or two. I don't know how or why, but YouTube always does it to me. There we go. Throw a little more substrate on that. Yeah, we're going to get some snow days in here soon. I'm excited. Alrighty. There goes that like, just like promised. Do I want? No, I'll do the wood with that. I don't like either though. Well, I can put. Let me go see. I want one more piece with more texture, more grooves. Where are you? Definitely not that one. Here we go. I wanted something with, as you can see, the one on the bottom has a little bit more of the grooving that they tend to enjoy hiding in. These tend to be that flatter piece, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just want to make sure they have that. In fact, throw that one in. And that one is just about done. Look at that. Send the kids to lunch with a nice snack. So, in fact, leave this here. Here is an example of one of these bins with isopods in it. Look at that fat boy. Yep, you're a star guy. Not anymore. Now you're just nobody. So, a lot of that, I'm going to give you what is in the isopod world is the answer almost always is it depends. Because there are some isopods that are smaller than the size of even that hole, but I mean smaller than the size of the head of that. So while there are some that are that small, I'm gonna do something I kind of normally don't do, and I hope I don't regret it. Where's Bubba? In fact, I do want to show you. I was talking about. Oh, there he was. As a matter of fact, he was in there. I don't want to stress him out. Where But well, let me. I talked to you about the fact that I generally don't like to make this put isopods in there, and I say you see the mold outbreak there. That will eventually right itself, I should say. Again, I'm having trouble with the angle and trying to get the light to show that mold right kind of here. Sorry about that. But my let me see, I'll put that there. My indirect point in regards to the isopods is that you have some that are again the size of pinheads. And then some that are this big, larger than my fingernail. Toad, what's going on, bud? So, obviously, I would be able to keep less in here of these guys than I would. Now, they're now kind of going to the husbandry and all that junk we talked about earlier. Sorry, guy, I'm not trying to mush you. So, these guys I have about 8 of. 7, I believe. 7 or 8. Now, I would again, this is getting kind of, I don't want to say convoluted, but again, this is what I like. This is part of what I honestly love about isopods is it's a lot more in depth than one would think. So I have 7 in here. Once they breed one time, once I see them have babies, one of them, I'm moving them out of this. Now, not right away, I'll let them get a little bigger because you don't want to stress them out. But that's my point. Whereas with these guys, and Tobe, these are actually some of the isopods that you guys sent me. So, but my point is these guys are smaller, so I could have them breed a little bit more in here. Whereas some species like dwarf whites, I could probably keep in here as long as I'm taking them out to do something with them, if that makes sense, not just letting them sit in there, because that becomes kind of the it, I sorry, I saw that comment and it derailed me. And yeah, the moss is just incredibly fickle. I struggle with it all the time. The temperature, the substrate, the watering, it's some take better than others. But going back to the isopods, though you have to, and again, this is part of what I like, and depending on what you do with them. So, for example, if I was not that I would do that in this, as it is not optimal, but if I were having these guys to breed, technically I could leave them in here, and every time they have mankai, pull them out and sell them. But you would eventually have to make sure for the dead stuff, I was just going to say, there's so much stuff to do with it. When I kill it, I grind it up and put it in my substrate. Oh, where was I? Oh yeah, but so that question is kind of convoluted, or depending on how you answer it, because again, different isopods have different needs. What you're doing with them is different. What you're keeping them in what for, and then some of it comes down to if you get more. Oh, I'm always distracted, and if I wanted to, I would focus. I'm a lot more focused when I need to be. Right now, it's the end of my day. I'm gonna eat a bunch after this. I'm having fun, so I'm it is what it is. And I don't think Ninja minds. He's used to my spastic ways. Um, but yeah, I hope I kind of answered that question in several different ways, Ninja, because for example, my canyon giants, um, I have them in their bin and they're about to, that's one thing I'm going to be doing in December. I'm going to be upgrading a lot and redoing bins. So I got so much. But my point is, with those guys specific, I use them for my cleanup crews for all of my tanks. So I pull them out constantly. I'll pull 5 or 6 out, throw them in with Dumpy over there, or some with the snake and the fat tail. So Those are all, again, things that kind of dictate what you do, how you do it. There's the size, the husbandry, what you're doing, the size of the container, the amount that you have. Some breed, a rule of thumb, which is not necessarily, I mean, it's a general rule of thumb, it's not a law. Bigger ones tend to breed a little bit slower. So, um, let me show you. So, in fact, yeah, you're here. You saw your high whites, which I am just again. I'm not. No offense. I'm not. I was never a big Lavis fan. I kind of tried to stay away from them until you sent them to me, and now I'm liking them. But yeah, they're kind of hiding. The one was out earlier, and I know they're a lot more light sensitive than I'm used to with species. But let's check out the mix. So this is the marina mix that you sent. Ugh. That's, I don't know if that's mold or fungal. Anyway, again, so one of the things you'll see that you probably don't even see, Ninja, but again, to me, I don't know if you can even see the moss, I'm sorry, the mold blooming on this wood. Again, I normally would not have put these guys in these bins. I like to let them sit, but I didn't have a choice. So let's see what the mix is up to. Doing good. You can kind of see that. I don't want them to fall off. The mold, but again, they eat it, and as long as you don't see massive blooms of it, it's not the end of the world, and it can actually be great. It's whitish, grayish. Oh, wait, are you talking the stuff on top? Let me see, because that's what worries me. It looked black, but it could be dark gray, and I don't know. And I don't even know if that's fungal. Like, it looks like it, but I don't. I'm not. Let me see if how. Do you think I should just wipe it off just in case? I've never actually had or seen anything like that before. Is it? Hold on. Oh, I thought it. No, I thought it was on the outside. Maybe. I just know black mold is generally a no good thing, but yeah, I think I'm gonna step away and do that really quick. That just, it looks fascinating to me in a way. Like I think it's kind of cool, but like you say, I'm not trying to have that. I've had all kinds of other ones. That's the first one I saw like this. What do you think about these bins? They're not ideal, but I'm finding them incredibly ideal for, again, those 6 to 12 counts, kind of. And that's one of the things I was talking to Ninja about before is I'm going to be adding. In fact, this has a little bit better with these, but even then I'm going to open up, I think, a second one in the middle. So let's see where the pandas are playing. Little, oh, he's molting. Oh, no, he's not. Okay, he's just hanging out. I'm always super squeamish about going through my bins. And I'm actually going to... no, okay, that's good for now. I'm doing watering tomorrow anyway. All right, so where was I? No, so I'm going to my next live stream feeding. Do that. I had so much planned for that morning wood stream that never blossomed. Like the whole point of me naming it Morning Wood was I was going to get up and start the day by baking a lot of the wood that I have been harvesting, but I forgot and never did it. I just did all my other stuff. And one of the things that I want to do is on my next, maybe I'll do it. Think. I have a stream planned for Saturday. No, maybe I, let me ask you this. Do you think you would prefer it in a video or a live stream? And I don't know why in my mind I'm just thinking live streaming, but I have the one planned for Saturday, but I was planning on going outside, but I don't know. So maybe we'll see. The answer is no, I haven't done it yet because I want to do something with it when I feed it to them. So that's just kind of how I am when I get something like that. I kind of like to keep it going and engaged with it. I still so yeah. I don't think any of the Miss or Mr. Universe pageants are valid until we have contestants from other planets. I think it's biased to always gift the universal prize to only people from Earth. And we were talking about ventilation tube. So again, I repurpose stuff. So I use my soldering iron and do a lot of this, hot glue it, and a lot of what you see is just me repurposing things that I use for, how would I say, the like I try to be redundant, meaning if I get something I want to be able to use it for three different things instead of just one. So those things are what I use for drainage layers. I double use those and things like that. But I'm eventually going to stop being ghetto, as I call it, and get actual vents and invest in that. But, for some things like this, it's incredibly unnecessary, I think, to go through with any kind of expensive thing that I'm paying for when I have all this stuff laying around. So it's kind of a mix match. And I'm slowly starting to understand and appreciate the value of good airflow. So, yeah, I just, I'm telling you, like, I now I walk around the house and I see, I'm like, oh, I can read, like we were saying, in fact, what was the term we used? We just literally talked about it. Um, it's not recycling, it's a different version that I was liking. I had never heard that term before, but that's, yeah, upcycling. There you go. That's what I see that stuff. And even this bin, for example, this is from a lunch meat. I buy lunch meat, but it comes in a bag in this. So I'm like, I'll reuse that. These are what I get at the every Tuesday. I take my daughters to Taco Tuesday, and I get this 3 taco meal, and they give me 2 of these with rice and beans, and I keep them, and I'm repurposing them for pretty much everything. So, I mean, anything I can find. Ooh, in fact, oh, hold on, hold up. Where did I put that? Can I? So I was talking to someone randomly in a group I'm not even in anymore, but they remembered me and sent me this. Not sent me, I picked it up, I met them, but again, talking about upcycling and reusing. I don't want to hit the camera. A bunch of these. These ones are deeper too. Hold on. Oh, yes. So these are the, again, I don't know how or why, but these are the ones I have. And these are the ones she's got. So they're taller, which is awesome. There's just short of 20 in here is I believe what she said. And with that, in regards to those, if you make them, I don't know how. Let me see if I can get a better. What I recommend is keep it moist, and let me see if I can say this correctly. Water it until it's saturated, until just below the moss or slightly touching the moss, and then let it go down over the next couple days. But always, they thrive and flourish more. Just constantly keep them wet, but you don't want the still water. So like in this one, I would fill it right about to where you see those two white dots kind of right in the center. You fill it slow, let it saturate and soak to the bottom. And I also try to always drip through the moss. So I try to put the water through the moss to make sure it's thoroughly saturated. And then I watch the sides as it fills as I'm dripping it through the moss. And once it would fill to about in this one right there, man, I'm sorry, I'm just marveling. I like watching the moss. That's how it's specific to those cups, because I know I put a few of those in our exchange stuff. So, and yeah, I've had some that died. I've had some that died and have come back. So again, like I leave it, and until I know it's dead, I kind of just leave them be. But I need to get my moss more on point, but it's my first season, so. Oh yeah, these I say I like because you could just put them on like a desk at work and things like that. That's what I kind of envision those, something on a work desk or by your alarm clock or something like that. I mean, realistically, I thought it was funny. I was thinking about the fact that I see people, and I probably couldn't do it here in Michigan, at least seasonally. Now, again, my mind works in weird ways, but um, you could put them on your dashboard, like glue them to your dashboard in some places where it's warmer. And these are they're in there, I promise. P-Lavis orange. There they are. These guys are doing great. There was just a couple mankai I saw run off, scurry off. Sorry, guys. And then the last thing, and then I think I'm going to kind of wrap this up. These are two interesting colonies that I think most of these are Nazatum, but I think there are Vulgari mixed in. Ooh, a bunch of. Oh, they're scurrying away. There were a couple mankai, but you can see Homeboy over there. There's actually quite a few in the next one, but these guys tend to be more in the. I'm gonna go through that. This is one of the ones I found, like, both of these are when I was out on my walks and found, like, flipped a log and just all it was isopods, and I could not pass up, so I just kind of dumped them all in and then figured I would hope for the best. Oh, that's why it smells like. So this one smells like fish, but you can see that small skeleton. My had I figured I'd throw one in here and they crush it, but they're very active in here. But these tend to be smaller ones. So I think I'm going to combine these two together, but kind of go through it and see what I see. Because, like I say, I think these are basically one and the same. They have some really nice coloring, though. Again, I'm not very familiar with Armadillidium Nesadillo aside from the white that Russ sent me. In fact, the ones I kind of that I shipped to you. I'm all up in the business now. They look so similar to me. I say the color pattern, and I sometimes I see what people say is the traditional nose or Nesadillo feature on what people say are Armadillidium vulgare. So again, I don't get it. I need to look into that more. Yes, very similar with me, Tob. I'm like, yeah, again, you could probably lie and sell me one or the other as the other, unless, like I say, the with those are the whiteouts, it seems more pronounced, I think, because their color is so uniform. But with these guys in the Vulgari, like I say, with their color patterns being so different and broad and diverse, that it the black marking, I don't know, like I say, it's all just weird to me. I'll get there eventually, but that day is not today. I do not want anything to. I feel very, very bad because I almost sound like I hate dwarf whites, and I don't. I just don't want anything to do with them. I'm actually very fascinated, and they're neat, but I don't want them anything. If I ever get them again, ever, I'm going to keep them in a sealed vivarium somewhere, and that's it. I'm so nervous about them. In fact, I told you I'm going to have more for you because one of the things I need to do very soon, because of these two reasons, one being it's just time, but in my zebra bin, I have dwarf whites. So I'm going to have to get rid of them. And that means you're going to get more dwarf whites. So I'm going to be redoing their enclosure very soon, which is interesting because I've only been in the hobby since about October of last year. And then, So a couple of the bins I'm going to be redoing are literally very bad, not optimal. The zebra bin I love, but I didn't do it right. So again, it's interesting the way that all kind of works out. Well, heck, I'll just I may again just keep feeding mine to you. I don't even want to sell them. I don't want anything. I want to find them, pluck them, and get rid of them. I don't have the patience for dwarf whites. Yeah, we're bug traffickers. You didn't know that? Bug thugs, bug traffickers, all that stuff. You know what's good about that, Ninja? We send bugs across state lines. And I will say the best part about giving you all of those dwarf whites, Tobe, is that to this day, I never ordered dwarf whites. I never had dwarf whites, never traded for dwarf whites. But somehow in all of this, I got dwarf whites. I can't get rid of them fast enough. Like I say, it's so ironic in that regard. Gosh, like this guy, I'm trying not to disturb him, but this color, please stay right there. Oh no, I bonked him a little. I love that color. The pattern, I should say, also. It's so, I guess, plain and mundane in one way, but I love it. I don't want this thing to break. It's kind of, yeah, I'll put you back. I was going to try and see if I, ooh, wow, man. And right under him. And I'm wondering if now this one's just standing out because of the rock it's on. But, where were you? Look at that color on that one. On that red rock. Sorry about the light going in and out. Man, I got to start looking into morphs because one other thing that I'm kind of learning, which is fascinating about Armadillidium vulgare, the wild ones for the most part, is their color patterns change throughout their life cycle. So it's more difficult to nail down morphs in that regard, I guess. What's that? What's the term for that breeding? I always forget. Parthenogenesis? Is that it? If I got it right, I'm gonna literally pat myself on the back. But yeah, I don't know if you know that about dwarf whites specific ninja, which is a type of isopod. But if the term is parthenogenic, they don't need. I guess it says they're all females, but I don't I don't know if that matters. But they just you have one, it hits sexual maturity and then starts to drop clones of itself basically. And then those things don't ever have to mate. They just go on and eat and hit sexual maturity and one day start making babies with themselves. And so they're very annoying to get rid of and they're incredibly small. And what's worse is their everything from their full grown size down is very easily confused with babies of other species, which I hate because anytime I see, for example, the P. laevis high whites, when I saw one of their mankind, I'm like, oh no, because it just in my mind I'm like it looks like a mid-sized dwarf white, and I was not happy. But again, it's just that initial gut wrenching feeling. With that, if you want, I may have one of the things I need to do actually tomorrow. Where was it? Yeah, I say dwarf whites are. I don't ever want them, and that's what I say. I feel so bad because the way I don't know if it's the way I say it. I kind of I sound like I hate them or like they're some invasive thing that's killing everything, and they're not. But what was I just going to? Oh yeah, where did I put it though? Where did if I were you? Where would I be? Over there. I'm at no. Well, dump some of that. If you want, help me sell some nymphs because I'm hoping these praying mantis nymphs, or I should say eggs hatch. But I have to move that into this. I'm going to put it up top and hang it from that wood, which is the way it's supposed to be. So again, I have so many projects going on. All right, well, Tobe, take care. Have I can't say fun at work if you're still here, but I hope you enjoy it. And Ninja, and wow, said for a minute there were 5 people here, and as soon as I said something, it shot down to 3. But I'm going to be wrapping up here. I'm not in a rush, but if anyone is there, any of 3 to 5 people, I hope you're doing well. I'm gonna be hanging out for a few moments longer. I'm going to go drink. That's easier for me to say. Grab a drink of water, and I'll be back, and then I'll kind of start saying goodbye. Unless you have any last requests. It's telling me 5 people again. Bold-faced lies. Unless it's counting me twice or something. And you twice. And then just adding a 3rd person for the 5th. Oh, man. What are you doing for Thanksgiving, Ninja? Yes, it's telling me I got 4 people here now. YouTube is lies. I'm going to put the lid back on my dirt. What I'm going to leave you with while I'm waiting on you to answer that Thanksgiving question is hopefully not knock a bunch of stuff over. And I just think this is... Oh, there you go. I see an answer. That plant you see is called the Wandering Jew. And I love it for that color. Well, I'm not going to talk about it because of the nature of that, but that sucks. So it's unfortunate. I tend to gravitate towards foliage that I don't know if two-tone is the right word, but as you can obviously hopefully see, there's the two different color patterns on the top and on the underside. Is that underside? I don't know. Sometimes it looks like it's on the top. All right, Ninja, speak now or forever hold your peace. 'Cause I'm going to be wrapping this up and getting some dinner in my belly in a moment. I'm going to show the elf over there. Deuces, I will be talking eventually. Catch you on the next one.